Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for today. Before we start, may we request everyone to please mute your microphones and change your names following the screen. Okay, all right. For those who did not register yet, kindly register in the link provided in the chat box. Okay, the registration link is on the chat box now. Kindly register. Also, please invite your fellow classmates and your schoolmates to join the webinar. Okay, thank you so much. Again, kindly change your Zoom name according to the following sequence. For basic education, grade and section, last name, then first name. For tertiary, course and year, last name, then first name. All right, I will give you 5 minutes to register. Kindly register now. At 9:35, we will start the webinar. Thank you. All right. Okay. For those who just come in, please register using the link provided in the chat box. Kindly register now. And please invite your fellow classmates and your schoolmates to join the webinar. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Joseph Batiki, the Guidance Officer for Senior High School Department, and I am your host moderator for today. Before we start with our agenda this morning, we would like to remind everyone with our house rules for this webinar. First, please use your USPF Gmail account upon attending the webinar. Second, please refrain from posting unnecessary comments during the webinar. The comment section is only intended for asking questions during the open forum. Third, the evaluation form link will be posted after the open forum and will only be available until 2 p.m. today. Okay. Fourth, the evaluation form will be the basis for your attendance and e-certificate. Five, lastly, e-certificate will be sent through your email. And also remember, please give us time to prepare for your e-certificate. All right, to start our program, I encourage everyone to pay attention to the screen for an invocation to be followed by our Philippine national anthem.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today All that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Kayang magiling, teras ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang iwiran, tuyan ka na magiting, sa manlulog, di ka pasisingin, sa dagat at puno, sa simot, sa langit mo paghang, may dilag ang tula at awit sa patayang pinamahal. Ang islap ng wataw at mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin na taraw niyang kailangan mo'y di magdidinig. Lupa ng araw ng luwalhati pagsinta, mo'y langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng may makapit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay. To start our program, may I encourage everyone, to welcome us all in today's webinar. Let us hear our Assistant Vice President for Academic Support in the OIC of the Student Affairs Services, Mr. Charles Roy P. Baguio.
To our Guidance Director, Dr. Elita Cui, our resource person and a former USPF psychology professor, Mr. Genesis Dehan, USPF guidance officers and interns, guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Each year, the world celebrates the essentiality of mental health. This year's global theme is Make Mental Health and Well-Being for All a Global Priority. This theme is actually an appeal to make mental health and well-being services more accessible to all and to give greater importance to these human needs due to the impact that the lack of these brings to individuals and the world. Many may be suffering or battling with mental health problems and their symptoms without any access to professional help, either for lack of financial capability or the dearth of professionals who could give help. The need seems to have been more felt and more heightened during the height of the pandemic. However, the awareness that it has brought to more people has continued the clamor for a more inclusive mental health program from the government and other related agencies and organizations. Today's mental health webinar, entitled Calming the Storm, Keeping Your Mental Health in Check, points to us the necessity of doing some checks to our mental health status. Seemingly trivial signs might begin to be felt by some, and they just seem to be passing. But when they continue to linger and get more and more intense, the need to seek help gets more urgent. However, the wrong notion held by some that to have mental health problems is equated to being crazy or insane has led some to be in denial of their condition or to hide and just bear in silence what they are carrying. But when the burden gets unbearable, that is when bad things turn to worse. It is then our hope that increased mental health awareness among people as part of being well will also lead to more people pursuing professions associated with mental health and well-being, so that more people will have access to professional help. Government must also put more resources into mental health programs, testing, and therapy so that even the ordinary Juan de la Cruz could avail of those services. But while all these hopes are still in the works, we need to do our part by becoming informed and sharing our knowledge. I welcome you all to this morning's mental health and well-being webinar. May this equip you to be advocates for mental health. Lend a helping hand and an ear to those in your family and your community. May you become more sensitive to those who are struggling with mental health issues, the burdens that they carry, and the battles they have to fight. Or may you have the humility to seek help when you feel that you yourself may be in need of help. As Saint Irenaeus of Lyons said, the glory of God is man fully alive. And Jesus said that he has come that we may have life and have it to the full. Being mentally well is part of being fully human and fully alive. God bless us all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Charles, for the warm welcome. Okay, as we start our program, we request everyone to please open your cameras as we take a group photo, guys. Please open your cameras. Okay, let's have first a photo opportunity. Okay, post as you wish. Ma'am Gail? Okay, smile. Hold your smile. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Are we done, Ma'am Gail?
Yes, done na. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Awesome. It's so nice to see your smiling faces today. By the way, if your fellow classmates or schoolmates is not yet here, please tell them to join the webinar now. Thank you. Okay. I would like to introduce to you to our speaker. Okay, he earned his bachelor's degree in psychology and graduated as cum laude from Cebu Normal University. He finished his master's degree in clinical psychology from University of San Carlos. Last February 2022, he passed the board examination for psychologist. He is an accredited rehab practitioner by the Department of Health. At present, he is the chair of the psychology department of the Cebu Normal University. He is a PRO of the Philippine Mental Health Association Cebu chapter, a volunteer facilitator at Bidliso Foundation Incorporated, and an on-call service provider at Legal Alternatives for Women Incorporated. Lastly, he has conducted speaking engagements on various mental health and other psychology-related topics. Without further ado, let us give our warmest welcome to Mr. Genesis Sedehan. Sir?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Sir Joseph. Good morning to all the admin officers, especially to Sir Charles Baguio. Sir, kamusta? I'm happy to see you here virtually. To the students who are also here with us this morning, thank you so much for your participation and your virtual presence. We opt to have this in a full physical or in-person kind of setup, but unfortunately, due to some restrictions, no, we need to also abide with our protocol. But I hope I would also be able to give justice on the topic given to me and the topic that I would be sharing this morning, which is also something that we need to ponder about. Mental health, as we would also know, is equally important as our physical health. To all the students, I hope you would also agree with me that it's not just enough that we do exercise, we take care of ourselves in a way we eat uh, healthy food, or we intake kining healthier food intake, as much as we would like to. It's not just enough, to observe these things, but at the same time we need to take care of our body as well, and our mental health too. The main intention is basically, we don't know what fluids, what specific neurotransmitters are going to be uh, the same, or if they are still at the same level or in normal level, no, watakaibaw, if the dopamine, serotonin, and many other neurotransmitters, normal pa ba ang presence nila, no, diha sa ato ang brain. And that's the reason why we need to take a break whenever things become overwhelming, whenever we could not be able to bear with the situation. No, let's take a breather. It's very necessary. And um, before I would also start with the talk, I wanna check the climate. So I hope that you are seeing the screen share that I'm doing right now. I would like to check on our students, especially. How are you doing this morning? Now, I know it's a Monday, and I just want to check the temperature basically. If you are giving a 5, meaning to say you are happy, excited, no, you can also send your responses in our chat section, so that we would know the temperature, no, from 1 to 5. How are you feeling? These are represented by emoticons here. Okay, I'm seeing, no, a response right now from Junji. 5, no, 4. So I'm seeing responses now. Thank you for your responses. Okay. So I'm seeing, no, good responses, no, from our audience. So thank you for your responses. So from time to time, it's also very, very important to check on ourselves. How are we feeling? Now, we have our cell phones, our mobile phones, and there are free applications in our mobile phones. We can download um, a mobile uh, application called Mood Tracker. No, it's available in our App Store or in our Google um, Play Store, and it could give us a summary of our feelings, no, for a certain month, or for the rest of the month. Like you are to track what were my challenges back in September, what were my challenges back in October, no, unsa may reason nganong sad man kay ko, or unsa may reason nganong happy man kay ko pagka October, no. So that's also one way of tracking your mood basically. So I hope we could improve our feelings, no, after um, attending this webinar. Okay, so let's define mental health first. I know that you have been attending a lot of mental health webinars in the crest of this pandemic. Um, it's only this construct, which is mental health, no, that it flourished in a way wherein people were encouraged to take a break, take yoga classes, no, to take care of oneself, no. And according to WHO in 2014, mental health is a state of well-being in which every individual has these 4 important elements, and we don't have to worry. Just as long as we are alive, we are still breathing, we could also comply with these 4 important elements according to WHO. First is we can realize our own potential. What does it mean, no? To our graders, um, even our high school um, students and also with our tertiary level, meaning to say we are doing steps towards achieving our goal or goals in life. Like for example, right now, no, you are studying so hard, even if there are challenges in our internet lines. No, although there could be some um, requirements, no, that we need to submit, and still, those are part of the steps in taking those uh, uh, dreams, no, that we have set for ourselves. Second, we can cope, no, with the normal stresses of life, no, meaning to say, there could be some hassles. There could be some challenges along the way. No, like right now, some people are now transitioning towards in-person classes. Traffic is present. um, there could be some challenges when it comes to the learning environment, no, because people are adapting and still trying to fit in, no, to the social climate present in the schools. Or there could be some challenges at home, no, but we are acting and reacting to these stresses basically in a very appropriate and healthy manner. No, we don't uh, result right away to having verbal attacks or assaults or physical assaults, no, against another person. So these responses, no, are pretty normal, and we get to adapt to these changes. Third is that we can work productively and fruitfully. No, as students, no, you are finding yourself to be excited. You are finding yourself still not to be productive at the end of the day. You're able to submit your requirements, your academic requirements. No, you are still able to perform very well. No, because that is what is also expected from us, no, as students, right? And fourth is being able to contribute to the community, being able to do something, no, um, to the community, like giving information, as simple as giving information about a certain um, um, educational topic. Or when you were giving an information back in uh, 2 years ago, back 2 years ago, you were just simply educating people about what COVID-19 is. Now, when other individuals didn't believe about COVID, and they didn't wear masks at those times, diba? Those are contributions. No, you when you get to inform, help other people, organize clean ups, diba? You help and reach out to those who are in need, no? So happy kayo ni siyang components in relation to mental health, and we don't actually have to worry, no, because at times, no, in our social media platforms, daghan kaayo requirements, no, kinahanglan by pair, no, si WHO kalma kayo ihang requirement. Wa siya niya na nga kinahanglan at the age of 25 na kay girlfriend, na kay boyfriend, or at the age of 30 kinahanglan na kay house and lot, di ba? I'm just trying to also make you laugh at this time, no, so that we wouldn't also be burdened, no, by the topic. No, we know for a fact how important mental health is, but it's also pretty important, no, to enjoy learning, and um, let's try to put a smile on our faces, no, basically, no, trying to um, make learning as much as possible an easy way, you know. Now, on the contrary, you know, I have talked about mental health as a positive aspect in our lives, and um, the other aspect, no, this is a more serious thing. No, this is mental illness. So we have mental health. The contrasting part or entity is mental illness. So this is when people would actually have concerns, no, in relation to their mental health. Um, kung ato siyang i-compare, no, mental health is a positive aspect in our lives, and mental illness happens when we actually have failed, no, as in a certain aspect in our lives. Maybe we are too busy with our lives, no, during the pandemic, some people needed to be strong, and that's why with their losses, no, they weren't able to grieve. Wa gyud sila kahilak. And we know for a fact that we have lost some friends, our family members, perhaps. We were too far from our families, or we were away from our friends due to the border restrictions and the controls, no? Or we are in a work from home setup, and many of the students were also transitioning towards online classes. And some students, no, may not be comfortable learning maybe up until this time, no. I'm just also trying to share, and it's not saying, no, that this is the general experience of everybody, but it may be experienced by some individuals too. Now, uh, learning has become like, there is that discomfort when it comes to learning, because a lot of pressure is actually being placed, no, like when a teacher would be calling you to answer a question, and the spotlight would be on you. A lot of individuals are looking at you, no, the camera would be asked to you are asked to be turning on the camera. And um, aside from the virtual audience that you may have your family members looking at you, and you are expected to really give your best, diba? So um daghan og pressure, no. And whenever we are also having these pressures in us, sometimes they become too overwhelming, and that's the reason why the body or the self fails to also catch up, no, with what is expected of us, because things become too overwhelming. So a mental illness is a syndrome, meaning it's a compilation, no, of many different signs and symptoms in relation to a particular mental disorder. So ang mga mental disorder, there are a lot of them, no. We have more than 300 uh, mental disorders, and they have different labels. And while you are attending this webinar, I hope that you also become your own mental health champions in your own community by trying to educate the public about mental health and mental illness. Whenever we would also be talking in normal conversations, I hope that we wouldn't utilize the clinical jargons or use the clinical jargons like depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and many other mental disorders, no? Nga, as if we are kana bitawng talking about them like they are adjectives, no, like when someone has experienced maybe a challenging part of his life or her life, no nga, may it be in relationships, no, in college or in high school, kana bang na ano, you have experienced a heartbreak, no, and then you suddenly told your friend nga you are already depressed because you experience heartbreak, no. It doesn't really follow, no, that you are likely to have depression after a breakup, no, because we need to also look into a particular time frame, and we need to also comply and to check if these symptoms would also qualify for depression, no. So what I'm saying is that whenever we would be communicating our feelings, or when someone would be communicating their feelings towards us, no, if they say ba na, you know what, depressed ka, ayaw ko karon, okay, um na wag tangan og trabaho ang akong papa. Example lang, no, that could be the statement of your friend. Now, you may also kanamang rephrase, no, the question when you are to ask your friend about it nga, are you telling me that you are sad right now? Because for the purpose of educating, no, ladies and gentlemen, depression is a very kanabang heavy word, no. When you get to describe it, um dili siya equivalent sa sadness, no. Depression is a clinical condition, and it's not easy, when you are into that condition, no. So or kung ana ta nga, ay mo katawar ba yan na siya kalit, or kanang muhilak lang na siya kalit, bipolar ba yan na siya, No, so I hope dili sad ta mo gamit ani nga jargon, okay? Bugat gihapon kay na siya nga gamiton, no? These are clinical jargons, and when we utilize them, no, they may not be the appropriate terms, no, we are to use. Okay? So let's try to rephrase the question when we are listening to our friends or our family members. No, like some people would say, no, instead of saying fear, they are using trauma, diba? So let's try to ask them again, no, nga, are you telling me right now that you are afraid? No, instead of using trauma. Again, it lessens the heaviness and the burden, no, of a condition, because when people would be using clinical jargon, sometimes no, we don't understand them. Okay, now going back to mental illness, um we are to observe certain changes in the person's behavior. No, that's the first element. Second is with the person's emotionality. No, there are certain changes when it comes to the person's affect. And third would be there are changes also with the person's cognition. You know, the ability to process information and to respond to questions, not logical thought, planning, no, they are already different. No, so these are the three areas where we need to look at when people have mental illnesses or mental disorders. No, so for a student, no, like you guys, um, there could be some changes, no, kung naay mental disorder or naay mental illness ang usa ka student. No, there might be changes in behavior. And what are these behaviors? It may pertain to school performance. No, like before, the person or the student used to be so competitive, but right now, no, the person would just settle for a mediocre kind of output, and he wouldn't care if kaya ba niya mo pasar or dili. He wouldn't care about his scores. Kana no, the person may be absent for quite some time. No, he doesn't care if he would be late, no, or unsa. So these are changes in behavior. No, and when it comes to logical thought and cognition, no, whenever you would be asking the person, no, when the person would be responding in a different semantics, no, lahi siya, no, derailed ang thought, no, dili siya in response to your question. So that could be an example, no, where there could be some problems, no, when it comes to logical thinking. And the third element is when people, no, would also not be congruent in sharing their feelings. No, like for example, mingon siya nga, I am happy, pero wala siya ni smile, no? Or I am sad, yan, ikatawa siya, no? So these are not kanang congruent feelings, no? So these are contrasting feelings, and you could observe through the person's kining facial feedback, no? And there is that incongruence you are perceiving, no? So mo na siya ang reason, no, why we need to also take care of ourselves, because at some point in our lives, no, we could be having some challenges, no. We know for a fact, no, that we have been through a lot, no. We had this pandemic. At the same time, we were not also kanang thinking about last year, no, nga we didn't we were not prepared on how to face, no, the ravaging Odette, no, last year. Now, um, moving forward, there's a continuum actually, no, when we would be looking at people and attending this webinar, no, entails that we care for our mental health, and we are here in this continuum. No, we are part of the good well-being. No, we don't have any diagnosis. We are well and we are happy with our lives. Now, can I see a yes from our audience in our chat section? Can I say, can I see a yes? No, meaning we don't have any diagnosis. We are well. We are happy with our lives. Are we happy? Okay. Thank you. I've seen a lot of responses. No, yes, all the yeses, of course, and that's our um dream, and that's part of our task, no, to maintain it, right? Now, another part of good well-being is also the other um, person, or another type of person, where a person has a mental health diagnosis, but uh, they are also happy, they are coping well, no, with their condition. Pwede din na? Yes, of course. No, because majority of the mental disorders are treatable. They are curable. No, sometimes no, we begin to maybe see a lot of videos in our social media platforms or even in the media no nga na ay mga depictions of schizophrenia, no nga schizophrenic condition nga they are incurable, or they are serious because they attack other people. Now there are also some misconceptions no in the presentation of mental disorder in the media, so we need to be mindful about it. Now again, I want to emphasize, majority of the mental disorders are curable and treatable, and there is nothing wrong when a person would be um, seeking help with a mental health practitioner, not just like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a guidance counselor. So in school, even if you are in the guidance office, it doesn't really mean to say that you are being disciplined. No? So the guidance counselor wants to also hear you, and they are also increasing your sense of safety, right? So mo na siya. So here in the Philippines, no, it's also more fun, no? Kay mao man natong slogan. It's more fun in the Philippines. Um, in the United States, if you can afford a psychiatrist or a psychologist, you are considered rich. It's only here in the Philippines when you are attending a therapeutic session with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you are considered na gamay, no, kano sa kana mo dako ang gamay. Bitaw, kana bang no, I hope we are also destigmatizing no that notion that just like us, no, whenever we are kanang having some problems with our physical condition, no, like some people may have hypertension, as like diabetes, some people may have kining cancer, no, example lang, no, they are actually seeking help, no, from medical doctors. And it's also normal, no, for people whenever they feel confused, overwhelmed, they could no longer sleep, they could no longer understand themselves, they have existential crisis, no, mangutana sila bang unsa di purpose na ko sa akong kinabuhi, ngano ding nabuhi ko, ano ba, no, so they don't find those answers right away. And it's also normal to ask for help, no, from a mental health service provider. Okay ba na? Okay? So, third, in the continuum, no, so naata sa poor well-being. So, again, no, this would let us understand that there are four types of individuals in relation to the mental health continuum. So, ang third, in the right lower quadrant, no, so wala sila diagnosis, but they are not happy, they are not coping well with their lives. So you might be saying, no, we have a lot of these individuals. I'm observing them on Facebook or asa no sa mga social media platforms where a lot of people have a lot of complaints no about their lives. No, daghan kaayong mga reklamo, no? And by the way, no, you are also allowed to share your thoughts here in our chat section. No? Let's be open sad, in sharing our thoughts. Okay? And reserve your questions later on no, after the presentation. Now, um, wala sila diagnosis, no, but they are cynical, no, they are pessimistic in their sense of existence. No, sige sila pangutana, sige sila complain. No, and it's also a quite sad kind of life. No, instead of doing something with your complaints, no, you just keep on complaining, and you are it makes your life more miserable. No, on the fourth type of individual in the mental health continuum, so we have the saddest person in the continuum. No? Mo ni siya ang individuals who have a mental health diagnosis, but they are not coping also and not happy with their lives. So these could be individuals where one concrete example is individuals who have terminal illnesses, no, kana mga serious so jud nga mga problems or medical conditions where they get to also experience or have depression, and then later on kana nanay mga suicidal ideation, and this is very crucial, no, and critical. I'm just kanang happy to share that there are certain NGOs or kanang groups, no, that cater the needs of these people, no. In the past, no, for a long time wala gyud mga professionals nganing cater for them, no, to also be helped, no. But right now there is already awareness in the community, and many psychologists and psychiatrists are now working together hand in hand, no, to help these individuals, no. So kana I hope you would be reminded about the mental health continuum. Now, you might be asking, why are people vulnerable, and why are some individuals not vulnerable to mental health problems? Example, no, you might be asking ba, na mga dato nga a simple maybe reprimand coming from the parents, and they would say that they are already depressed. Is depression kuan lang, inclusive among rich individuals, no? Pangdato lang na siya nga sakit, or pangdato lang na siya nga problema, no? Kay ang pobre naglisod pa unsay pambayad sa eskwelahan, naglisod pambayad sa utang, no? Ay mga inana nga mga challenges ba, but wala man kuno depression kuno sa mga pobre. Example lang ba, no? But these are the 4 P's of distress, no? The 4 P's of the SWD. They distribute cash, no, but the 4 P's of distress here, no, wala pa cash diri, no, but I'm just actually using these 4 P's, no, in order for us to understand better what are these 4 P's, no, whenever we would say that people could be vulnerable to certain mental disorders. Now, each and every one of us is vulnerable to a particular mental disorder. The first factor is about predisposing factors, no? Predisposed meaning to say genetically predisposed. It could be that in the person's family history, in the person's bloodline, now there are certain mental disorders or a particular mental disorder that the family is also having. No, mo nang some psychologists or some psychiatrists may have asked you or your family members or a neighbor, no, nga, is there somebody else in the family having this kind of condition, no? Because there is that certain percentage, no, for a parent, no, to also influence, no, the offspring, no, just like depression, no. Depression could also be genetically predisposed for about mga 30 to 40%, no. So that's also a way for us to understand that, no, these individuals are having these problems because this is genetically predisposed. No, I hope we would have the empathy and the openness to accept ba, no, nga so I need the eye to understand my friend, no, kay from his bloodline or her bloodline mao din ni ang ilang gisagubang as a family, no. So it calls my attention to be more empathic, no, to sabi ni saya pa, mas gikuha ang imong attention nga kinahanglan ka nga mas mosabot pa niya, di ba, no? Second factor, precipitating factors, no. Kung dili siya genetically predisposed, ganong ang uban wala man ni sa ilang bloodline, nganong naa man ni sa ani, no. Precipitating meaning to say these could be activating events in our lives, no, just like for example, no, with the example I've given katong breakup, di ba? A breakup is something hard to also overcome, no. It takes a while, it takes some time. loss of a particular loved one. 'Di ba? Just like a relationship, it takes some time to heal. Or sometimes some people would say nga pila ka months na, pila ka years nang nilabay but still, the wound is still fresh, 'di ba? So these are activating events that had happened and had caused us to experience some changes, leading for us to experience a particular mental disorder. Now, perpetuating. So perpetuating factors, they are actually related to the precipitating factors. These are exacerbating conditions. Sa may but sa exacerbating. Meaning to say, these are conditions that led you to experience mental health problems in an aggravated condition. No, meaning mas ni taas pa ang mas ni dako pa ang problema. No, mas nilapad pa ang problem. Meaning let's say the person has depression because of a certain loss in his life or a certain challenging condition, but there came another event in his life or her life that exacerbated the condition or the problem. Another concrete example would be um, for women who just gave birth and they are prone to experience postpartum, sabi ni Saya pa mabughat ang babayi, and sometimes part of postpartum is they question if they are still beautiful, if they are still kana bang lovely in the eyes of their husbands. They get to question, okay, gain weight na si mama, and they get to question if they are still lovable in the eyes of their partners. And what if nasa na nga condition, after some time they have discovered nga naa di ay illicit relationship ang iyang husband, so ni-aggravate siya sa situation, mas nidako siya sa mas ni palapad siya sa problem. So these are perpetuating factors. And the last P of the 4 Ps include the protective factors. So in this particular factor, we are to observe if it's high or low. What do we mean by that? When we speak of protective factors, the protective factors include the human capital or the social support that we have from our friends, from our family members, experiences, how we were able to surpass certain challenges, were we able to find solutions to our problems, were we able to experience some challenging times in our lives. We could say that the person's protective factors is considered high if those experiences were met or were present in his or her life. But if not, like wala say social support, wala kayo siya friends, and kana example, neglected siya by the parents. Another is that the person did not experience any failure. Wala siya history ba of failure. Puro pasar, puro accepted sa work, puro kanang positive ba, and then first time siguro to niya nga experience og defeat, so you would understand nga that might be a game changer ba nga mo down ang iyang protective factors. So these are also important factors we need to develop because it leads for us to understand another concept which is about resilience. So resilience is when a person gets to experience challenging times in his or her life, where maybe a critical incident happened, meaning life threatening na siya, and you were still able to surpass these challenges. You were able to adapt and still continue and move forward through effective means of solving problems and using your strengths in order for you to overcome these challenging conditions, just like a bamboo nga Sag unsaon kag tayhop sa hangin, you are still standing, no? Firm. No, you may bend, but still you choose to stand, no, against all odds, no, against all the storms in life. So resilience, according to Masten, it is the ability of an individual to surpass problems being faced or adapt to the difficulties that hinder the person to grow as a member of a community. So example, imagine yourself like a rubber band. No, when you get to be stretched, kaya ba nato to bounce back? Kay when we get to be overstretched, di ta makabalik sa atong original form, then that could be a signal, no, that we have experienced an overwhelming and uncontrollable kind of condition, no, that led for us to be overstretched. No? PAP also defined resilience as the ability of the individual to bounce back, showing strength and joy amidst the storms and challenges of his or her life, using the effective ways in solving problems, the positive concepts of the self, and support from people surrounding the individual. So we need as much as possible, no, the family support or people surrounding you, especially the ones you consider your friends. No, mind you, no, for schizophrenic patients, what I meant with schizophrenic patients, no, to all the graders and the high school, secondary levels, um, kana bitong mga tao nga wala na in touch sa reality, wala na sila grasp of reality. Those individuals nga naghubo sa dalan, no, kanang mga um, wala na realidad, no, or wala na sa realidad. No, these are schizophrenic patients, and with them, no, um, what I have observed, no, so far in the psychosocial missions that we have conducted in the province of Cebu, in the different areas of the province, with these patients, no, nga kana gipanghigot man ni sila sa duldul ang uban, or gi-cage ni sila because of the kana bitawng the shame felt by the family too, no, that they have this family member nga nga problem. And that's one thing that we need to also let the family understand nga there's nothing to be ashamed about, no, kanang ang kana siya, even with these types of clients, whenever there is that family support, no, the family is open to be helped by a psychiatrist, and there is that support where the family gets to keep track of the psychiatric consultations, no, kanus-an ni siya ibalik dok, no, mangutana ni sila sa psychiatrist, and they would be religious enough, no, in really kanang in keeping up to date with a consultation with a psychiatrist. There is actually that observed progress or in the prognosis of these clients' conditions. No nga, ang uban, the families would say nga, sir, sa una, kay dili mo na siya mindful, no, kanang, di gyud na siya makistorya. Pero, pagsugod na niya og kanang na-consultation with a psychiatrist, mangayo na siya og kaon. No mo, mangutana na siya mo na siya nga, naay sudan, mukaon ko, kay gigutom ko. No? Kanang, sa una, dili ta maka-communicate niya, and the families would say nga, kanang, naay changes, no, nga nilang na-observe. No? And schizophrenia is also a treatable and curable problem. But it takes some time lang. No? Kay, again, there is already that region in the brain, or there are certain regions in the brain that needs to also be kanang given attention, no, so mo lang na siya ang challenge, no, but there is actually a chance, no, for everybody to heal and to be in that path or track towards recovery. Now, for the students, or even, no, with the adults or the family members whom we also get to share the same roof, no, in our own household, it's very important, no, that we need to work on these resilience competencies, no, on how to improve our protective factors in order for individuals not to experience easily kining existential crisis or any emotional crisis. no nga makita na to ang uban, no, they become kana bitawng impulsive, no, they want to end their lives or mga inana, no. So or some people may pose a threat towards a certain household. So inana nga mga crises nga present. So these are the competencies we need to develop. First is the relational competence. So this is one thing that you must develop, no? Or we must all develop. We need to know how to empathize. We need to listen to other people. We need to strengthen our relationship with others. No, it gives importance to other people's feelings. No, that when other people would be um, approaching us, they want themselves to be heard by us. So we would actually be open enough, no, to also have ourselves be present in that moment and listen to them, 'di ba? We are given a left ear and a right ear, and when you listen using both ears, you are listening with the heart. 'Di ba? Mura siyang purma og heart, no? So mo na siya pinaka-importante. Nga whenever I am also facing a lot of challenges in my life, there are also people available to listen to me. No, because that is a sense of relational competence. No, that is something relational. What we have is a relationship. No, I have friends whom I trust who would listen to me. No, and I hope sad, no, ang mental health is not just an organismic kind of entity. It is also relational. No nga, it's also not healthy to say nga, nag-observe kog mental health sa akong self. Mo nang mo take kog break, mo take ko og kanang self-care activities, but you become selfish, no? Dili na siya inana pasabot sad nga mo leave ko, example, mo leave ko sa work or mo absent ko sa work and then naaday kayo deliverables, no? Wala ka ni hatag og wala nimo siya properly disseminate ang information, wala nimo siya gi-assign, no, imo mga kauban. No, it's not also that way, no nga kini observe man ko og kuan mental health sa akong self mo nang I need to take a break, ano, so it's also an irresponsible kind of approach, di ba? So we need to also make mental health as a relational kind of concept, no, nga sige kag kuan, sige ko meditate pero no ang mugawa sa imong baba kay dili siya healthy, di ba? Or wala ka sa imong self nga I wanna I wanna be positive. I wanna experience more positive emotions. But the thing is that you are spreading to the world about the negativities no that you have. Or magsikag paminaw ni Adele no nga sad kayo og mga songs, di ba? So it's quite the irony no of what you are doing. No? So I hope kana siya no nga naatay relational competence. Atong improve ang atong relationship with our kanang schoolmates, our classmates, no, the people surrounding us, no, our family members, no, basically, and then problem solving skills. No, we need to also let our students, our family members know how to solve their own problems, and that's the reason why we get to maybe no guide them. No, not basically doing things for them, not solving things for them. No, they need to learn independently. No, how would this individual be able to surpass his problem? And that is when the person uses his creativity, no, in solving, planning, in trying to also face, no, um, the challenges in life. No, like nabayron mga challenges when it comes to no, like for example, of more often I hear people discounting e-learning or distance learning, online learning. Oh, 'di ba? There are a lot of memes in Facebook wherein no that's the product of online learning, no nga online learning sa engineering, no di kuno nagkadimaw ang design sa balay, no? But one thing is for sure, no? Just as long as the individual remains true that he or she is the one solving, the one facing no, his challenges, no, and that is actually a way where they could be developing themselves, no, they could be better individuals, no, when they get to solve their own problems, no. So let's give them kanabang a room, no, for them to improve themselves, no, not spoon feeding, no, not saving them always, no. Let them learn from their mistakes, no, and after, no, they could be able to come back and be able to solve their own problems, no, through their own little way, diba? Another, no, third is the self-regulation skills. This is very important too. As much as possible, no, we need to know how to regulate our emotions, no, whenever we are dealing with hard individuals or difficult individuals. So amo gyud na anak ko sir, lisod man jud kay akong boss. So amo gyud na anak ko sir, lisod man jud kay akong teacher. Dagham jud siya mga assignments or mga ipanghatag. Di mo gyud siya kabaw mo listen. So man ako sir, lisod man kayo akong parent. No, that's an avenue where we could actually teach our students, our children, no, the young generation on how to regulate their emotions, their reactions basically. No, effective ways in handling stress. Noon saon man nato nga mas malesser ang imuhang stress in doing assignments. Okay ba nimo nga naa kay tutorial session, no, for you to enhance your learning? Okay ba nimo, no, kanang inana nga way ba, no, uh, do you know how to control yourself? Do you have that discipline? Do you have that way of controlling your reactions? No, whenever you are dealing with hard people, how do you do it? Do you do social aikido? No, what we mean with social aikido is that we get to facilitate how to deal with these difficult individuals in a simpler and effective way, no. So mo na siya ang self-regulation, or how do we get to respond, no, to certain challenges, no, like internet line. How do you respond to that? How would you control your emotion when never, no, in the midst of doing synchronous classes, mawagtang imong internet connection? No, do you call PLDT and shout at them? Use cuss words? No, mo na ba, no? No. So how do you get to regulate your emotions? And fourth, no, a very important also resilience competency component is the sense of purpose. So as much as possible, no, as early as the development of the individuals at home, may they be graders, no, who are also part of our population or attendees for today. We could also be asking them, what do you want to achieve, no, after this school year? No, as simple as that. No, trying to let them be aware of their own footing. Asa na sila dapita? And what could they be wanting in the future? No, what are the goals that they are setting for themselves? In order for them to see also that I have a purpose, I no, I have this sense of purpose that I want to first, no, maybe for the graders, they want to let their family members be happy about their school performance. No, that's part of their mission as students, no, nga they are performing very well, no, in the classes that they have. And another is akong purpose dai kay mao ni siya, no, because I want to let my family live in a more comfortable life. Oh, this is part of my dream. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a psychologist. No, I want to be um, a social worker. No, so nana. So these are some of the common illnesses in the globe or all over the world. No, so naay mga common nga mental disorders in relation to substance use. No, So this is the data actually. In 2018, and still anxiety is the most common mental illness, and globally mental illness affects more females no than males, and these are some of the common mental illnesses all over the globe. Major depression, no, depression, clinical depression, they are the same, but I hope sad no we would also be able to understand that anxiety and depression are not synonymous. If depression, the principal symptom for depression is sadness, no, mao mo gyud na ang iyang it's a mood problem and it's centering with sadness. With anxiety, it's a different condition. No, they are not synonymous. Anxiety, the principal symptom for anxiety is worry. No, kanang discomfort nga magsigi siya og kahingawa, no, nga naa siya'y kahadlok, na siya'y daghan nga ginahuna, no, na siya'y daghan nga worries about his health, her health, the family's well-being, the family's business, um, his or her studies, no, daghan kay nagmusud mo nang makaapekto sa iyang functioning, no. For about 3 months, no, di siya katarong og tulog. Eating is also a problem, no, eating patterns, even sleep, no. So inana, no, ang worries niya mo ay nakapako sa iyang problem. Alcohol use, no, alcohol is very available, and this is a very challenging kind of condition because when people would be sending their family members to rehab right away, and the sudden cessation of taking substances would actually lead for the person to die. Okay, if there is no proper alcohol withdrawal management, mutaas maayo ang BP sa person, and mo nang moingon mi sa rehab yun, no. I am also a rehab worker, and sa rehab moingon gyud na sila nga mutaas og pag-ayo ang kaning dugo sa person nga gi stop ditso og pag-inom, mao nang mamatay hinon ang patient. So there should be proper protocol, no, for the withdrawal management. Schizophrenia, mo ni akong giingon ganina, no. As I've mentioned, these conditions have different time frames. They also have different signs and symptoms or symptomatologies. That's the reason why we don't use these clinical jargons in normal conversations. Schizophrenia, meaning to say these people don't have any grasp or have difficulties in grasping reality. Yun ay usahay maka-experience sila o ma-normal sila, but after a while, no, mawagtang na sad. No, so mo man na they get to experience hallucinations, delusions, disorganized speech, disorganized behavior, no? So mo lead na siya to also they experience also negative symptoms. Meaning to say these are normal behaviors on top present with a normal person, but they are taken away, no, because of the condition, no, kanang affective flattening, no, wala sila emotion, flat gid kayo ang affect, no, kanang they don't move, or there could be more movements, no. So mo na ang schizophrenia. Bipolar disorder is also a different thing, you know. So we have two types, bipolar 1, bipolar 2, and bipolar 2 is more susceptible towards suicide. And ang bipolar na condition is mo gitaw siya bipolar because there are two poles present. So in the major depressive condition, 'di ba, ang ihang principal symptom is sadness. Sa bipolar, present sad na ang depressed mood, and it's added with mania. So naa siya'y manic episode, naa sad siya'y depressive episode. So mo nang bipolar siya. So mo na ang bipolar, no, ang manic episode, ang sabot sa manic episode is kana bitong mura sila nakadahog og loto permi, no, kanabang for about 7 days naa na ang manic episode, no, mo nang they get to defy authorities, they don't listen to the police officers, no, makiglalis pa og police officer or makiglalis og boss, no. They get to also have kanang racing thoughts, no, paspas kaayo mo og mga huna-huna. They get to also kanabang have this elated expansive mood, meaning to say even if na siya'y mura pag makita nimo sa iyang now nga need na siya for sleep pero wa gyapon siya ni di gyapon siya kitaan na nga need niya og sleep mo nang giduka siya pero nagyapon siya energy no nga mo gawas mo disco nga na ba and that lasts for about 7 days. After 7 days the depressive episode would come into play no. So inana mas dako ang iyang problema, mas challenging no ang problema actually. Dysthymia is another problem where it actually starts no where the problem starts with a mood depressive a depressive mood episode no. So and it lingers for about 2 years, duha ka tuig or even more. So mo na siya ang problem with dysthymia or before it was called persistent uh, depressive disorder. So mo na mas tag-as siya og episodes no compared to depression, but the signs and symptoms wouldn't actually qualify for clinical depression. In the Philippines, no, 3.6 million people suffer from at least one neurological, so one neurological in relation to degenerative disorders like Alzheimer, no, mental disorder, and also substance use disorders. And one thing, no, that we are to be mindful about substance use is that still no karon rampant gihapon daghan kaayo og mga individuals using. So there are a lot of substances and a number of substances actually being used by SUD clients. No, so dili na siya addiction actually no. It's SUD, no, substance use disorder. And if you may be wondering why a lot of individuals have substance-induced psychosis, that's actually because the substance, no, which is methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu, it's not actually pure na. No, there are a lot of mixtures actually in that particular kining substance. No, na pang-add nga candle, na ay albatross, no, na ay mga ketamine, no, which is actually a veterinarian nga tambal, no. It's actually a veterinary medicine for horses. No, so daghan kayo no, dili na siya pure mo nang prone kayo ang mga tao no nga bag-ong nagsugod og suyop no kung nakanibaw-an prone kaayo sila for substance induced psychosis no muwagtang sa kaugalingon because of the use of a certain substance. Marijuana, you might be asking nganong dugay man gi kuan ang marijuana. That's actually because it has deceitful effects in the body. When taken in low doses, marijuana becomes a depressant, no? Just like alcohol, no, pampachill siya. Pero when taken in large doses, it becomes a hallucinogen, no? So dito na makita og kanang mga power, no? Kita gani makakita ka nga duol kayo ang moon, no? Makabuot na nimo siya. So inana ba? Dako ka na siya nga problem. 3.2 per 100,000 population for suicide rates, and males have higher rates no for completed suicide compared to females, but females have higher statistics for kining gitawag nato og attempted suicide. 15.4 million people suffer from depression. So naguna o sa mga naguna ang depression actually, and it's also like because of the pandemic, you know, after the hype of this pandemic, there is another pandemic no being faced, which is the mental health pandemic that also led for the Central Visayas to be one of the leading places for depressed patients. No, 1 million from schizophrenia, 15.3 from SUD, and 877,000 died due to suicide every year. And a mental disorder could greatly affect employment and levels of education, especially in ages 25 to 52 years old. Now, that's according to the study of Hakulen et al. No, because this is quite challenging. No, it is kana bang an investment of time, effort, money, no, when it comes to um, the treatment, no, for these kinds of conditions. Mo na makaapekto gyud siya with school performances, with work, no, and we need to deal with these things actually. And one of the major factors contributing to a particular mental condition or mental health problem is stress, diba? So with you students, no, you experience academic stress. What do we mean by stress? It's the imbalance between the sources of stress and the resources to cope. Meaning to say, if this is your body, you only have one body and you're answering to a lot of demands. So there is a mismatch between the demands in the environment and the only resource you have, which is your own body. Now, there's a lot of hats you are wearing on top of your head. No, like for example, to some, you may be a community organizer, you are a leader, you are a son, a daughter, you are a sibling, 'di ba? You are a student, 'di ba? So daghan kay kagisulob, and there could be a lot of demands from these responsibilities that you have, and you only have one body to respond to these demands. Imagine, nikahuman mo, may tag, nikahuman mo perform, mo na ka nga, ay, grateful kaayo ko. Numalipayon kay ko, kay na ako'y nakita nga mga agi sa akong gihaguan. No? Pero, kumana ka nga, ay, kakapoy, wa pagyapon ko nahuman. No, lahi man siya. No, so murabag, these are two different conditions nga niya nakaghay nahuman na gyud ko, no, nakita na gyud nako ang fruit sa akong labor. No, kaysa mo na ka nga, hay, o pagyapon ko nahuman. No, so mo na siya when the loads of stress, no, actually become overwhelming, and the coping, no, would not be the same with the sources of stress, meaning there is that imbalance present, no. So this is like a way for me to also check on you guys lang, no. You could grab a piece of paper or you could use your notepad or notes, and this is just perceived stress, and this is to assess your perception of stress in the last month. And nothing to worry, you only have to respond to these questions, and you would only be the only individual, no, you would be the only individual who would know your score. Okay, um would it be okay to ask everyone to participate in this activity? Okay, sige. So get your pen and paper or your application, your note application, and then let's try, no, to answer these questions. Or the questions in this scale ask you about your feelings, thoughts during the last month. In each case, you will be asked to indicate by quantifying how often you felt or thought a certain way. Responses, meaning to say you are to give 0 if it's you have never experienced it. Almost never, so you are to rate it a 1. Sometimes, no, panagsa, 2, 3, fairly often, 4, very often. So when it comes to very often, meaning to say, perminti na siya nga naa present, and there could be some perceived challenges, no, nga it could cause you to it could affect your way of functioning. Fairly often, meaning to say you are experiencing it, but it may also not pose any form of hindrance. Okay, so just to identify lang the difference, no, of 3 and 4. So 1, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? So you may not share your responses, but just work on your own paper. Okay? Sige. And then, how often, number 2, how often have you felt that you were unable to control the important things in your life? 3. How often have you felt nervous and stressed? And by the way, no, nothing to worry. We only have 10 items actually. Hindi siya maabot og 50. Okay. 4. How often have you felt confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? So again, you may work on your responses lang sa imong output or sa imong paper. And then 5, no, how often have you felt that things were going your way? Okay na? Can we proceed to the next set of questions? Can I see a yes from our student participants? Okay, sige. And by the way, no, ang katong nag-annotate, I would like to kanang ask you to kuan lang delete the mark that you have left in our Zoom meeting. Basin no na ano mo na bantay ba? Na-click niyo. Sige. Number 6, how often have you found that you could not cope with all the things that you had to do? Seven, how often have you been able to control irritations in your life? Pwede na di ko maka-erase. Okay. 8, how often have you felt that you were on top of things? No, that you are also seeing, no, that you are in control. 9, how often have you been angered because of things that were outside of your control? 10, how often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them? Okay, so that's the last item. Now, we go to the interpretation of the scores. But before we go to the interpretation of the scores, there are reverse scorings to some items present in the scale. So in your sheet or in your notepad, let's go first to reverse the scorings among these items 4, 5, 7, and 8. So items 4, 5, 7, and 8, if you have scored 0, that's a reverse or the reverse score of 0 is 4. 1 is 3, 2 is still 2, 3 is 1, and when you scored 4, that's equivalent to a 0. So i-reverse score lang ang items number 4, 5, 7, and 8 before you would add up all the scores. Okay, were we able to catch up? Okay. So are our scores ready? So ato siyang i-add tanan and then we get the total score from 1 to 10. No, with the reverse scores from items 4, 5, 7, and 8. So we now have our score, right? Can I see some responses from our audience? Okay, sige. Now, with our scores here, scores ranging from 0 to 13, it could be considered low stress. Okay? Again, pwede rasad na to dili i-disclose. But one thing that we can do is pwede ra gyud nga atong i-reflect. What happened last month? What were the stressors? Were there events? Were there individuals involved? What were you doing last month? No, that led for you to perceive that this is low stress. No, or kung naka-score from 14 to 26, meaning naka-moderate stress. And when you have scored 27 to 40, so that's considered high perceived stress. Again, this is not concluding in a way. This is not also diagnosing your condition. This is just how you perceive last month's events or challenges. No? Sige. So again, no, muna siya atong reflection. Tsaka nahitabo last September. Were there some challenging times in my life? Were there a lot of things to deliver or to comply with? No? So na mga ina nga questions, 'di ba? And you are the only person who knows about it. No? So one thing that we can do is, how would I be able to lessen now this perceived stress that I have right now? How would I end October in a lighter way or in an improved way? 'Di ba? So that's a moving forward question. Okay. Sige. So let's go back to stress, no? So stress is something we all experience. It's a normal reaction. So nothing to be alarmed actually. Without stress, we wouldn't be able to be productive in the work that we do or in the learning sessions that we have. No? Even when a person would be having kanabang major decisions in his life or her life, there is still stress about it. No? Kanang positive events in the person's life, like nakadaog kag loto, 'di ba? That is still considered or that there is still stress accompanying to it. 'Di ba? Nga unsa man ni akong kwarta, no? And if people would identify me nga nakadaog kog loto, what would happen, no? So dagya po stress actually. When you would be buying a house, no? It's a major decision. There is still the presence of stress, no? Not just in the academe, not just in kanang the difficult times, no, but there could be still the presence of stress in some positive events in our lives. So normal gid na siya. So what are the internal stressors no that you have, no? Perhaps no these could be the stressors that you have. The lifestyle choice, no, imuhang lifestyle, negative self-talk, the mind traps, no, you keep on thinking and overthinking, you overanalyze things, and sometimes you get to have a stressful personality. No, karabang ikaw mismo, you are so hard to yourself. No, you don't even compliment yourself. No, nga, I am good at this. I am skillful. No, I believe in myself. No? Wala kay nana nga mga kanang self-talk. External stressors include the physical environment, no, may it be at home or in the academe, the organizational rules, no, maybe no nagka-cause na siya to the working group or to the students, no. Sometimes no, there are rules no that could be part of our external stressors, no. Our interactions with other people, no, that includes the social environment that we have, the major life events, no? So even major life events, no, sa masakong giingon, kana bitang pagpakasal, di ba? That is still somewhat stressful, no? Unsay imong gown paliton, unsay imong dress paliton, no? Asa ang reception, unsa nga food imong i-prepare, di ba? So stress gyapon na siya. So daily hassles too, no, include are also included, no, in our stressors, no, kanang asa kag kwarta, pampliti, pang rent, no, ina na nga mga challenges. Now, there is what we call as eustress. No, this is good stress. No, kada bang happy problem. It enables the person to fight or flight mode, no. It is required, no, for motivation and safety. No, kanang happy problem nga, let's say for example, when you become an adult and your children are moving to another kanang house, no, they are having their own families too, no? That's still part of eustress. This stress is it's already outweighing the resources to cope, and it makes us feel overwhelmed, no, unable to live up to our own and other people's expectations, and feel out of balance, no. So manang distress kay dili na siya maayo nga stress. So there are also types of stress. So we need to identify if this stressor is actually basic or cumulative ba ni. No? When we speak of basic, meaning these are the daily challenges that we have. No? Kining hatag pamliti, asa taog mga um, what would I do, no, in order for me not to be late with my appointment or my class, no? So mga inana, that's part of basic stress. What would I wear, no, today? But when we speak of cumulative stress, meaning to say that entails that these are events piling up, no, together, no, just like in the pandemic time, no, in the midst of this pandemic, diba? We were having a lot of, or we were experiencing a roller coaster of emotions, no, from fear to panic to worry. We experience losses, diba? So daghan kaayo siya. Plus niabot si Odette, no? So nag-abot silang tanan, no? We did not expect to lose some of our friends, some of our relatives, no? That's cumulative stress. Burnout is already a long time exposure, no, to stressful events. No, taas na kayo ang panahon, and that's the reason why you have kanang lost the motivation to even work further or work an extra mile, no, out from the kind of performance that you are doing. Traumatic stress is also another thing. Odette, no, our experience of Odette is an example of a critical incident stress or a traumatic stress. Nga naman, because it was life-threatening, no? Or any life-threatening event in our lives. Pwede gihold up ta, pwede kanang sa bagyo, man-made ka mga disaster, no? So pwede na siya, no, nga traumatic na siya nga stress for us. So in these types of stresses or different types of stresses, different mental problems may also coexist. Now, these are the common symptoms of stress, no? Natay upset stomach, nervous feelings, no? There could be feelings of depression, no, constant fatigue, headaches, and tight neck muscles. And it affects the different dimensions, no, in our lives. So muna siya ang importante nga we need to know how to deal with stress. So later, no, we would be having tips on how to deal with stress. So the stressful or the stressors, no, the stressful conditions that we experience becomes a cycle. No, it affects our thoughts. It also dampens our feelings. It affects our behaviors or changes our behavior. Or we could acquire new behaviors, and they could be also kana bang part of our coping. No, could be observed with our physical responses. No, so mo na nang di nakakasabot nga sa rehab sa una, I used to work with kanang recovering individuals, no, recovering persons, and kung ana lang daw kutkut, no, stress na siya. Ako kanang sana basic stress na siya, no, basic stress. Pero Ana na daw, kumuto na ang naong, no, that's already sana cumulative. Kumuto na ko no ang naong kay di na kasabot unsa ko rin nahitabo. Bitaw. Whenever a person is stressed, no, stressed individuals are likely to can experience anger or feel angry or become irritable right away, and it leads for them to become hostile. No, kana batang stress kay ka, na kay thesis gang gi-write, na kay assignment ng gibuhat niya, nawagtang ang file. No, gamay nga kuhit sa imong manghod, gamay nga kuhit sa imong anak, gamay nga kanang storya nga imong madunggan, it irritates you. Right? So stress and anger have been identified as two principal factors that tend to occur in an act of aggression to another person. So mana mo lead na siya no nga maka-experience ta og kani ang untoward nga incident nga it's an inappropriate behavior nga sumbag ta, maka-assault ta og someone. No, and that's one thing that we are stopping ourselves no to do because it's an unhealthy way of coping. Diba? So stress and anger are related, but we need to be mindful that anger are of these characteristics. First is anger is an energizer, diba? It gives us a signal, no, that something is piling up, something is boiling in your body. No, you are easy to react. No, it's an energizer. It's an energy, no, being kanang stored in the body. And we need to use anger wisely. No, we need to think nga, sama ni siya, ako ni siyang i-act out or dili. Ako ipakita sa mga tao nga nasuko ko or dili. No? And we need to also be reminded that anger is secondary. What do we mean by secondary? There is always that first emotion before we get angry. Unsa man day akong feeling? Na-insulto ko. Mo nang nasuko ko. But we need to identify that first emotion. Because before you got angry, there is that first emotion. Diba? I got frustrated. Mo nang nasuko ko. I was hurt. Mo nang nasuko ko. No? Dili siya automatic ba nga? Something came up, something happened, and suko dayon ka. It's not automatic. So we need to identify. No, one way to also gain control of ourselves is we need to identify first. What was that first emotion I felt? Was I insulted? Was I hurt? No, and many other possible emotions. No, first emotion. We need to identify the primary emotion, which is the fourth step, and situations that cause anger can be avoided. No nga, saman to akong naagian last time. So in order for me not to get angry easily, I need to do something. Maybe I need to avoid submitting outputs late or, diba? Pwede na na. And then you need to communicate your feelings. No? This is very essential. You need to communicate how you feel. Later, no, we would know how to communicate our feelings. And stress and anger are not the problem. The person-directed aggression is the behavior that is grave and must be stopped. Now, daghan kaayo cases actually after the restrictions or the border controls that we have for this pandemic, there were a lot of cases actually in relation to domestic violence. Ning abot siya 50%. So because the perpetrators are actually present at home. Diba? Even human trafficking, online or cyber pornography, and kining rape cases have also increased. So there are also 4 positions in social interaction. So whenever a person would be angry, mo siya ang tendency. This is position number 1. I am correct and you are wrong. There's no doubt about it. And this is your position. No? You become the bigger person, but you become dominant. You feel you are in authority. Second, no, when you are angry, you think no that the viewpoint is actually communication is hopeless. I don't want to communicate. That's why I leave, no, or mag-headset dayon ka, no, because you don't want to hear comments from people. Ba? The third position is you value friendship. That's why you yield to win acceptance. No ka na bang you please other people nga dili lang ko makiglalis niya kay migo ra ba mi or kuan, no? So you value friendship or relationships. Now, the best position actually no when you are angry or when you feel no a negative emotion, you can communicate. And mind you people, no, as a culture, we don't like confrontations. No, we don't want to share our feelings. And this is also a high time no for us to kind of bang in a way we need to improve and we can do better. Now there's still a chance for us. Now we can care and confront possession. Now you can start with messages of I care and I want. No, nga, I care for you. That's why I want you to do the same. So this is what I always share to recovering patients and also no, with us no normal individuals. Pwede rin yun ni natong pwede kaayo no natong magamit. No, a good word caring but a bad word sometimes no because we don't want confrontations. No, we don't want to be confronted. And that's why we have come up with a new word, carefronting. No, care, I care for you and that's why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you how I feel. So DESI or DESI, no, as an acronym on how we could start in trying to communicate how we feel. No, if you are angry, you can communicate it by describing the incident objectively. No, walay added comments or side comments. No, kada ba? No, say mo describe ta mo anong tanga. Example, a mom or a parent who wants to communicate to his or her children about uh, wanting them to become more responsible. Example, sa sink, no, there's a lot of dishes unwashed, no, unwashed dishes. And mo na nagyaw-yaw ng mama. Mo nang na-tendency nga dili siya paminawon because na may mga side comments. No nga, wa gid mo mga responsable kay mo, no? Di mo kamao, no? Mga wa mo'y pulos na mga added nga mga comments and people wouldn't want to hear that. Diba? So describe, meaning describe objectively. So objective meaning, no, if the incident happened Tuesday night, no, so pwede nimo objectively say i-remind nila nga last Tuesday ba, gabi I went home and found no that there are unwashed dishes on the sink. Period. No, objective. Express. I am disappointed. I am sad. No, unsay mong gibati ato. And that's period, no? I am sad. I am disappointed. Walay added nga comment nga. No? Unsa pa nang mga possible nga explanation. No, kay when you express, you just express. No, how you feel. But no added comments ba na wa mo'y mga ikabaws or unsa pa, di ba? Lisod kay na nga additional nga comment, no? So, express lang, no? I feel sad about it. Period. Suggest, no? I would like to suggest, no, for you to shape up. No, maybe next time you could wash the dishes, no? And then involve yourself, no? I'm telling you this because I care for you. No mo nang I care, no? Care front because I care for you. And I also care for my need to kanang have an organized home. 'Di ba? Kana lang. That's a simple way of communicating. No nga, imuhang anger ba? And again, no, we want to make mental health as a relational concept. In this way, without added side comments, no? Kana bang mga bati nga mga comments coming from our mouth nga unnecessary, irrelevant. Maybe no, you are frustrated, you are kuan, but it wouldn't actually improve no the behavior of the other person if you would have side comments. So how do we get to have better control of ourselves? So happy na tamahuman, no? So first is we need to keep a tracker. No, if you don't want an app on your phone, you can actually do a spreadsheet, perhaps, and take note, no, of the date and time, the stress level, no, para nimo. So my stress level out of 10. What were you doing? And what were you thinking at that time? So that at the end of the month, no, you could be able to track. No, it's very essential to also keep track of your mood or your feelings. No, so that you would know nga what is wrong with me. Murag sad lagi kay ko pirmi, no? So that is already maybe no giving you a signal, no, that uh seeking for help, no, may be necessary. And controlling over breathing, no, whenever we feel any form of negative emotion or discomfort, sometimes we get out of control over ourselves. That's why we get to experience tightness in our chest, difficulty breathing, and we get to breathe rapidly. And that's why the first thing that we can do is to do a mindful breathing exercise. We could inhale through our nose, no, and inflate our stomach. No, ato paboruto na niyan. So this is not an ordinary kind of breathing, but one thing that we can do is kana siya, no nga. We can do 12 rounds, no. Kanang mo inhale ta through our nose and then inflate, no, padako na totontiyan. And then we can count 1 2 3 or 4 seconds, and then get to exhale through our mouth and deflate the stomach. No, pagami na totontiyan. So binali siya sa ato ang usual nga way of breathing. So this is how you also breathe through yoga. So are we mindful? No, are our minds so full of a lot of things, or are we mindful, no, with our activities or with our behavior? So mo ni siya. When you do breathing exercises, no, sa pandemic no mo ning sikat ni sila no nga mga grounding techniques, no. Same na siya, no, when you get to do mindfulness, when you do grounding, centering, ang uban di sila makuha og mindful kay mind ra kuno ang gigamit. So ang uban mo term sila og embodiment. No. Parehara na sila actually, no. Bisag unsa ang label, but what we are doing is actually to also have kanang to get better control over ourselves. No, and this is also another mindful exercise. No, we get to tell ourselves about our internal, external, and fantasy awareness. Because mind you, schizophrenic patients don't actually have this exercise. They don't do this anymore. Because whenever they could think, when their minds would feed them nga, bato ka, bato, yun na, no, wa may mulihok nga bato. So they become catatonic. No, di mulihok for several hours. So, kani siya, no? This is just an exercise where before we start our day, no, after we have kanang maybe taken a bath, before we would be attending our online classes, or before we would be siguro, no, start our day, perhaps we could do this, no nga. We could tell ourselves about our internal awareness. No, just maybe no, you can verbalize it, or you can also do it in your own mind, no, but by telling yourself nga, what are you aware of in your visceral behavior? Katugon ko, no, anything, no, that is happening inside your body and you are the only person who knows about it. I feel happy, I feel excited today. What else? Bugat akong shoulders, no, visceral man na siya, walay lain makaibaw kundi ikaw ra. So you need to communicate that, you need to tell your brain about it, no, para mindful ka, no, sa kung unsay nahitabo nga bitaw, no, naglain akong lawas, unsa di pasabot ani, no, ako kasabot ani. So you need answers, no. External awareness is something, no, that you need to feed your mind by telling yourself about what you are currently observing, no, in the environment. So externally, what are you seeing, what are you hearing, what are you tasting, what are you feeling through your skin, di ba? So mana siya, external awareness. And then your fantasy, what are the thoughts that are present in your head? Are these thoughts part of the past? Are these thoughts part of the present? or future, diba? So you need to be grounded. Nga, okay, sa akong fantasy awareness, possible ba ni siya mahitabo or dili? Or nahitabo na ba ni siya or wala? Diba? So you are to also think. No nga, whenever no I would be giving talks mga good, I would be teasing people nga. In your fantasy awareness, no, when you are jealous, you need to ask yourself nga, is it possible to happen or not? Kaya ba niya buhaton or dili? Ano kay fantasy man na siya, no? Anything could be right or wrong, right? So you need to tell yourself nga, okay, what I'm thinking is still part of fantasy and this is not yet happening. Now may it be real or not, no, this is still part of my fantasy awareness. Diba? Because no, that's also observing proper kaning mental health sad no in our lives nga. Okay, fantasy level na siya. It's not yet happening. Diba? Okay, sometimes people would actually misconstrue. No, they would think nga, oh, it's already happening. Bisag wala pa. Diba? So, part of that, no, when you do the mindfulness exercise, you are inviting yourself to focus in the present moment. No? Thereby, kana bang relieving yourself from anxieties of the past and the future through forms of resentments and worries. Diba? Kung nag do kag mindful exercise, you are actually inviting yourself to focus on in the present moment and what you can do in the present time. Okay, mo ni siya akong problem karon. This is one thing that I need to deal in the present moment. Di kay mo anak nga hitabo na ko sa una nya ako ni siyang gibukat. Unsa ka kung ako pwedeng balikon og buhat, no? So you don't actually need to incorporate nga kana bang you are to expect right away nga pariharan ni og result kay mao man ni hitabo sa una, no? So it may also stop you no from kana being creative in the present moment. So mo ni siya ato ang gi-emphasize no nga this is what I always tell our or my clients no nga mo ni siya ang imong kinahanglan buhaton. Because everything starts no with awareness, and awareness per se is very very therapeutic. It leads for us to understand ourselves, leading for acceptance. No, we need to accept that there are limitations in our capabilities and we become responsible for our actions, leading for us to experience psychological growth. And that is where psychological growth or maturity would happen. But if not, no, if we are unaware, we keep on denying our experience, no, wala ta, example, no, our emotions, we keep on denying wala ko naglagot, pero deep inside you, your body is telling you that something is wrong. Diba? It leads for you to reject that feeling and you become an alien to yourself. Now, what do we mean by alienation? Meaning, you no longer map out how you feel. You could no longer mark and identify what are you feeling, what are you sensing. No, it leads to a point where you no longer know yourself. When things become overwhelming, magsikaw question ba nga, would I feel insulted or would I feel kanang happy about it? No, would I feel something like this or in a different way? So it leads for you to experience dysfunctions. No? So mo na siya ang problem. So the 8 ways to well-being. So these are also important concepts, no? We need to deal with. So we need to do talking to share, no, how we feel. Let's be open, especially to people we trust. No, ato lang sa mga tao nga atong gi-trust. No, we could also do exercise. No, exercise has been found to kana bang increase the brain-derived neurotropic factors present, and it leads for us to regenerate new set of neurons. No, we don't just feel good in doing exercise, but we are doing a favor to our own body when we sweat out. No, simple lang, no, nga lakaw-lakaw, mag-exercise ta. Let's also find time to calm ourselves. No, in this pandemic, I do believe no that we didn't just have all the negatives or we didn't just experience all the negatives, but we were also able to learn. No, we were able to kana bang identify areas where we could also improve ourselves, diba? So just like with calming or calming ourselves, we are also able to kanang control our emotions, how we react, no? We get to be mature enough in dealing with other people and even towards ourselves. Now, we need to learn a new skill, no, di ba? What tay gikabisihan last time mo tong ang panggawas nga tanom atong gipasod. Himo tong plantitos, himo tong plantita. Nya pagkahuman sa pandemic, ato sad silang gipagawas balik. Tinuod ba? Dito. So, kana ba we need to find something no that leads for us to become kana bang better at ourselves, no? We gain a personal knowledge, no? That's actually part of our personal self-care. And then relating, no? So atong enhance ang atong way of feeling and listening to other people and contribute again, no? Part ni siya sa atong pag-help, no? Because when we get to help other people, we get to also feel good about ourselves. And we create something new, no? Part sa atong passion, part sa ato ang interest, and also celebrate small wins, no? Even small lang siya, but that is still very very important, no nga. We get to celebrate about our own successes, no? Post kag something about sa Facebook, no, to also kana bang inspire other people, no? I-congratulate nimo imself, no, for doing good and surviving the semester, di ba? So that's actually a very important way of trying to also kanang appraise, no, um, what you have done so far. Now, another is actually we can do self-care, no, within our system, within ourselves. Um, these are the different types of self-care, and you can schedule it. We can schedule them whenever we can. Now, in about a week, we can um, schedule, no, like for a Monday we can focus for our physical self-care, no. The important thing that we need to do for Monday would be to sweat out or to relax, to do yoga, something that I do for my physical body, diba, to nourish my physical body. Emotion, no. So pwede Tuesday na siya, no, atong schedule nga. We need to look at how we could be improving our kaning feelings, no, each day, or if there are kanang hurtful feelings or discomforting feelings that we are experiencing, how would I be able to address this? If there is no one available, I can write how I feel, diba? Social, how would I be able to schedule a time or a meeting with my friends, with my colleagues, no, the colleagues that I haven't met, no, for a long time, or relatives, no, nga wala na ko na meet na, di ba? So pwede na sila nimong mabuhat sad. Spiritual, no? Spiritual is not spiritual self-care is not equivalent to also having sorry, to having kining or to observe kining religion, no, in our lives, but this is more about partly, no, appeal na siya ang religion because that is also guiding us, no, to become better individuals. But spiritual is more about your relationship with yourself, no. So how could you be able to strengthen, how could you be able to know yourself better, no? So mo man na siya, how could you be able to strengthen your relationship with yourself? Personal, no, so this is about creating something new, pursuing a hobby. Space is about cleaning, no, your own environment. Kaya basin stressful kay ka because your own room is so dirty, no, not well organized, or challenge kay ka, no, stressful mag-work or mag-study sa imong own study area because it's also disorganized, no. So finances, no, part na siya sa atong financial well-being, no. We need to also know how to manage our own finances, our kaning mga payables, no, ato ang mga bills. So that is still part of our self-care too. Work also, no, or even with studies, no. So you are still studying at this time, but one thing that you can do is to tell yourself, no, that whenever it's a Sunday, or there should be a way for me to rest, maybe no, for about siguro 24 hours. So if possible, unsa man na siya nga day, are you setting it on a Saturday or a Sunday? So you should understand no nga, you are studying for about 5 days or lesser than 5 days. And you need to also allot time. It could be a day lang siguro. Kung di dyan madaog 2 days. So it could be a day where you don't answer emails, you don't open your laptop, or you don't, or you minimize no screen time. Kana lang, no? So one thing that you can do, no? So for yourself, no, you are doing a favor for yourself when you would be doing self-care, because no, beautiful people like you don't quit. You just rest. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned things, and I'm also open for questions. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much, Sir Dehan, for that very wonderful talk. I hope our students learned something today. So my personal takeaway lang no, from this talk is it is really important to take care of our mental health. Same with how we take care of our physical health. So if you feel being stressed or pressure and things get overwhelming na, you need to find time to take a break and do self-care. Sir Dehan also reminding us to be careful on using clinical jargon such as instead of asking question like, are you depressed? Let's try to rephrase our question. For example, are you sad? So to listen bitaw, the heaviness to the person you are talking to. Kanang nga word magudis bugat sa ginaingon pa ni sir. So let's practice that in our daily conversation. Now, to check if everyone is still there, we would like to see emojis in the chat box. Show your love and appreciation to our resource speaker. All right. Wow, thank you, sir, from Neresa Abelia. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, oh, we have emoji there. It's a box. Smiley faces. Okay, thank you very much. Garcia Beiside. Okay. And now, at this juncture, we are now moving to our open forum. Students, you may turn on your microphone or use the chat box to type in your questions. Our speaker is sure to answer your questions, so don't be shy in asking, okay? So, questions? Mm-hmm. All right. So I think I will start the questioning, sir. I have here a question for you. When is the right time to seek help?
Okay, that's actually a very interesting and a very important question. Now, when is the right time for you to ask for help? We need no ganina ni present kog 4 P's. No, nakoy i-present sad karon nga 4 D's. So 4 ka D. If you think that there is like about 3/4, or there is about 2/4 in the present condition that you are having, then that could be a signal for you to consider asking for help. The first D is, are you experiencing distress? Karabang maglisod na kag tulog, kanang na-add yun siya discomfort. No, there is that presence of discomfort in your own condition, in your own body. And distress is not only felt by you, but also felt by your family members. Kung ikaw nagpulaw, sila sad nagpulaw nimo. No, that is distress. That is the first D. Second on the checklist is the second D. Are you experiencing dysfunction? Meaning to say, as a student, you are no longer finding it kanabang, you're no longer finding the interest and the motivation to study. Words or lessons that you are studying wouldn't actually be absorbed by your head, because kanang you could no longer focus. Your attention is no longer there. No, that's part of dysfunction. Nagsige na lang kag absent. Di na ka mo pass og requirements or academic requirements, no? So dili na kaka-perform sa imong day-to-day task. Example, at home, no, not just as a student, no, but as a daughter or as a son. Even simple na lang nga pag ining limpyo sa balay or even pagligo, hygiene is no longer being observed. No, that's part of this function. No, that's already two. Again, kung naani silang duha, no, out of the four, you might consider already seeking for help. Third D, no, just to add, third D is what we call as danger. Are you causing danger towards yourself or to other people? Are you now increasing the risk surrounding you and the rest of people surrounding you? Fourth D is what we call as deviance. Ang buto-sabutan ng deviance meaning you are behaving oddly. Dili na normal ang imong gipanglihok. Kana bang example, nay uban mukalit na lang og hubo sa dalan, nay uban kana bang dili siya appropriate nga affect. Kana bang imbis kay masad ka, nalipay nung kag maayo ana, no? Or no, it's a deviant behavior, not as what we are socially expecting to happen, or it's also an inappropriate behavior. No, kung naataning upat or naataning duha out of the four, then that's the time we could consider asking for help. I hope that response was able to answer the query. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, sir. How about, okay, do you have any more question? Okay. I think no more question. Thank you very much, Sir Dehan. All right, so just a reminder, the evaluation link will be sent by the guidance team in the chat box. Kindly answer the evaluation form. This will serve as a proof of your attendance for this webinar and for receiving your e-certificate of participation. All right. At this juncture, we will now proceed to the awarding of certificate. Okay, let me read the citations. Okay, University of Southern Philippines Foundation Guidance and Testing Services Center, Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is proudly presented to Genesis C. Dehan for extending his time and sharing his knowledge during the webinar entitled Calming the Storm, Keeping Your Mental Health in Check in celebration of Mental Health Awareness Month, given this 24th day of October 2022 at University of Southern Philippines Foundation, Cebu City. Signed, Dr. Elita L.P., Guidance and Testing Services Center's Director. Signed, Mr. Charles Roy P. Baguio, our AVP for Academic Support. Signed, Dr. Ernesto L. Alalor, our VP for Academic Affairs. Congratulations, Sir Dehan. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We are now moving towards the end of our session. Okay. As stated by our resource speaker, we are all vulnerable to mental health problems. That is why we need to check ourselves from time to time. When you seek a professional help, doesn't mean you are weak. You seek help because you want yourself to be better. And also to be better to the people around you. All right. Now, on behalf of the Guidance and Testing Services Center, we would like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. To all department heads, teachers, and students, thank you for your active participation. And of course, to our resource speaker, Sir Dehan, thank you for sharing your expertise on this mental health awareness for us. I am sure that our participants have learned something on this. Anyway, and with the sharing of Sir Dehan with all of us today, may we all look forward to our healthier well-being. To our beloved students, if you need any help, the guidance office is ready and open to lend an ear. You may visit us at the Oscar Herrera Building, 3rd floor. We hope to see you soon. Okay, we have here some announcement, gentle reminders. Mhm. Help us evaluate this program. The link is already provided in the chat box. Okay. This link will only be available up until 2 p.m. today. Another reminders to all tertiary students, you are all invited to join the webinar entitled Anxiety and Depression, Signs and Symptoms and Support. Tomorrow, October 25, 2022 via Zoom platform. Please refer to your respective department for other details. Also, we hope to see you this October 28, 2022 for the Mental Health Awareness Month culminating activity. There are a variation of activities for the morning and afternoon. For the morning activity, we have a self-care hub, and for the afternoon, we have spoken poetry, poster making, and song composition. Aside from the activities, we also prepared booths available for your entertainment. So I hope you will join this one, guys. All right. To end this program, allow me to leave a few inspiring words from Matt Hyde. Mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain, you feel the rain, but you are not the rain. Have a great early lunch and thank you for attending this webinar today. This is Joseph signing off.